What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Derek O'Shea Show. I'm sorry about yesterday. I was traveling, and also I was just like you, watching this whole Afghanistan narrative being pushed by different media groups, waiting for Biden to actually talk. For a second there, I didn't think he was going to say anything. I thought he was going to be complete radio silence, just like Jen Psaki. God rest her soul. She gives a bad name to us gingers. We're not all like her, all right? So just relax. Get off our backs. We're trying to be the best people we can. But there's a ton of news stories coming out right now. And I just kind of want to kick it off this podcast with this little Biden-simping, as they say on MSNBC. MSNBC is, they are just so biased. It's unbelievable. The idea that they're like a news organization, not like a purely, commentary site like the Daily Wire. They're out front. They don't say, "Hey, we're the news." They say we're a conservative news organization. So anything that we put out is going to have a conservative bent. But MSNBC doesn't say that. They should say we're a very progressive and borderline insane ideology news source being pushed. But that's just same with CNN. CNN is a little bit more moderate than MSNBC, but MSNBC is just in another realm. But let's start off the podcast with this, because I think this message pretty much summed up how I felt all day yesterday and how probably many of you also felt. It wasn't just, we got to get out of Afghanistan. We got to get out of there. We shouldn't be fighting wars in other regions. Yes, you can say all these things, and it's amazing all these people were like mocking, wow, all these conservatives coming out and saying like, talking negatively about Biden pulling out troops, when a week ago you guys were for it. Well, a week ago we didn't know if we were going to watch people falling off planes to their death because they were so freaked out and scared they didn't know what else to do. A week ago we had no idea how this was all going to play out. I assumed, like many of you assumed, that probably the Taliban was going to take over. Or maybe there was actually going to be a fight that was going to be taking place. There was so much misinformation being placed everywhere by our intel community and also by the Biden administration, also by previous administrations. This has been such a cluster F that it's unbelievable. And more and more reports need to be pushed out. There needs to be, people need to go to jail. It's just, if you're going to go and destroy and be a part of a country, and whether you're in nation building or you're just trying to, you need to, the things that they didn't do at the beginning, which every major company, any kind of organization or any kind of mission needs to have placed out plans of execution and what does a win look like. It's always important to know when you're in an organization to know what is a win. What's a win for us as a company? What's a win for us as an organization? What's a win for us if we go to war with Afghanistan? What does a win look like? Because if we have a win, we know what a win looks like. We know our objectives. We know how to accomplish it. But it got to the point with Afghanistan that the media wasn't reporting on it. People weren't talking about it. And it was almost like, why are we still there? I don't understand, based on what they have given us. You might say there's many things why we're there. Well, we didn't know. And that's why I think you're seeing so many people just so angry about this, because the information that was put out there was so just like, here's a little bit of this, and then we're doing this, and there's a reason we need to stay. But the stuff that was given to the American people, and probably a lot of troops as well, and veterans of the community, was just a need-to-know basis, or follow your orders. And that's why people are so, just one of the reasons why people are angry. But this is another reason. Let's let this guy speak, because he can say it better than I can say it. Because honestly, when regards to the Afghan war, my heart breaks for so many things that are in the region. My heart breaks for what happened to the people of Afghanistan who aren't insane ideologues like the Taliban and ISIS and Al-Qaeda, but for the regular people, especially the women and children, as we're going to have a little reporting. There's more reports coming out of people being killed in the street, people that have worked with the U.S. government. Of course, we screwed up those things. It's unbelievable. People need to wake up and realize that our government isn't all-knowing and all-powerful and isn't just hitting tens every single time we do something. It's funny. It's like, okay, we trust you for COVID, but not for war anymore. Okay. Let's listen to this real quick.
We want to bring into the conversation Matt Zeller, former first lieutenant during the war in Afghanistan, former combat advisor with Afghan security forces.
And even if you've heard this before, I think it's important to continue to listen, especially those of us like myself who aren't veterans, didn't serve in the military. It's important to hear their side of what's going on in their head, because I can only imagine if I served, I lost friends, family, loved ones. If I lost a spouse, imagine single mothers out there, single fathers out there that have to go through this and just watched, after all the work they did, a country just toppling in days. Let's listen.
Co-founder of No One Left Behind, a veterans organization that offers services to former Afghan and Iraqi interpreters who resettle here in the United States. Mr. Zeller, it's almost ironic now to state the name of the organization you founded, given what we're watching go on, though I'm curious to hear your reaction of this consequential speech by the American president. Didn't run from it. He owned it. He owned his decision. He owned the fact that, as he put it, the buck stops with him.
Typical MSNBC. They will say whatever they can. And I don't think he is for the war and against the war, whatever. He is just simply stating that Biden did a fantastic job, regardless of any implications otherwise. Let's listen to this response because I think it's important.
I hope he gets to own their deaths too. I feel like I watched a different speech than the rest of you guys. I was appalled. There was such a profound, bold-faced lie in that speech. The idea that we planned for every contingency. I have been personally trying to tell this administration since it took office. I've been trying to tell our government for years that this was coming. We sent them plan after plan on how to evacuate these people. Nobody listened to us. They didn't plan for the evacuation of our Afghan wartime allies. They're trying to conduct it now at the 11th hour. The thing that they were most concerned about was the optics of a chaotic evacuation. Well, they got exactly what they were most concerned of by failing to do what was right when we could have done it. We had all the people and equipment in place to be able to save these people months ago, and we did nothing. I'm appalled that he thinks we only need to take 2,000 people. There's 86,000 people who are currently left behind in Afghanistan alone. We've identified all of them for the government. I have no idea why he claims that people don't want to leave Afghanistan. I have a list of 14,000 names right now of people who want to get out of Afghanistan. And the idea that the Afghan military should be blamed for this, do you know how many casualties the Afghan military took in an average year? More than the United States did in 20. When you're not getting paid on a regular basis, when you're not getting fuel, when no one is supplying you with ammunition, and yet you're still showing up to the fight, how dare us for having to blame these people for not having the audacity to be able to survive a Taliban onslaught? No. What we need to be doing right now, and what I am appalled that the president didn't say, was we need to be talking about how we're going to get every single one of these people out. Because let's be abundantly clear. People like me looked these people in the eye and made them a promise. We promised them that in their time of need, we would take care of them. How do you ever expect anyone to ever trust us again if we don't do that now while we can? And I'm sick and tired of trying to defer to the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan on what we're going to do. We're the United States of America. They're terrified of us. I have Afghans on the ground right now who are telling me they're going door to door in Kabul and they're making lists of people who used to work with us. They're telling them with smiles on their face, evil smiles, that they're going to be back from them once we leave. So we either take them now or these people are going to die. I've been trying to tell anyone who will listen. This is a never again moment in the making. This is an administration that seems to be a profound champion and defender of human rights. Well, sometimes human rights have to be defended at the barrel end of a gun. The Taliban are a modern version of the Nazis. And if this was Dresden, do you think not Dresden, if this was Dunkirk, do you think British, yachting pilots, the British captains that were sailing their boats heroically into Dunkirk, do you think they were asking on the beaches if the people they were picking up were Brits or French, or do you think they were just trying to get people away from the Nazis? Every Afghan we leave behind is going to be left behind to a horrible existence. And if we don't take them now while we can, that is as much on us as it is on the Taliban, who will hang or behead them.
We want to.
I mean, you can hear his voice. Towards the end of there, he's bumbling on his words because he's so angry. He's so frustrated. He's so mad. I can't imagine being in his shoes, looking at people in their eyes and telling them, hey, we got you. Just please help us out and we'll help you in the end. We promise we wouldn't do anything, like we would never leave you. We would never just forsake you. We are a good nation. We are good people. Our government we will do whatever it takes for our government to help you. And you have guys like that guy watching people crowding an airport, strapping on to an airplane as it takes off, and then falling to their death in order to escape. I'm not even concerned about like the optics, what Biden said, what he didn't say. I'm not concerned. I am only thinking of these people, these veterans that, like that guy said, I looked people in the eyes and I told them I would help them, and now I can't do anything. I gave them all the information they needed. And as always, the government just looks the other way. Don't worry, we got this. We don't need your help. I don't need your information. And of course, the only reason Biden came out is because of the optics that were coming out there. Imagine if they had a lockdown on the internet and none of these images came out. Would you think he would come out and say anything? Would any politician? I'm not even saying Biden. I'm just saying politicians in general. And then you have this going on right now. You have heavily armed Taliban guarding men and women. There have been more reports of people. This picture right here just sums up us versus the Taliban. The UN Sustainable Goals. No poverty, no hunger, good wealth and being. This is on the side of a wall where people are being held at gunpoint. Quality education, gender equality, affordable and clean energy. I mean, this is what happens when people don't know what real suffering looks like. People are being held to a gun, and on the background, there's that in the background. It's a pure mockery of what's going on. This is what happens when you don't understand an enemy. Of course, they're going to wait in the rafts until we were going to leave and then just go back and take over. Decent work and economic growth. This is on the back of a wall, the UN climate stuff. And then I saw an interview with our DOD spokesperson, and they were calling on the Taliban to push for gender equality and all these other woke terms. And I'm thinking, you guys are idiots. You don't understand. We spent 20 years there, and you don't understand the enemy there. Gender equality. That's laughable. Sharia law. I'm not in the position, nor do I have the knowledge to break down this whole what happened in Afghanistan, and there's way better people to listen to regarding that. But I do feel like I am qualified to talk about empathy and emotions that are probably going on in people's heads right now of betrayal, of hurt, of pain, and then you're seeing suffering played out in front of us, real suffering. These people aren't worried about their pronouns. They're not worried about CRT. They're not worried about racism. They're just trying to eat and survive. And we created an incredible vacuum that allowed for this to happen. And Biden, of course, came out. There were some good things he said, but then there was a lot of stuff where you're just thinking, wow, you really, a typical politician. I'm done doing this. Let someone else do this. It's also someone else's fault, not my own. I didn't have anything to do with it. I wish one president would come out and just say, you know what? We effed up. We effed up big. And I'm really, really sorry. And we're going to do whatever it takes to get every single person out. And I will lock down that entire area until we get everyone out. But typical politicians right now and the media are just helping Biden out in any capacity because we can't have Biden have any negative press because it's about the optics. It's about creating a message, and it's about staying in power because, look, folks, there's a bigger picture than, women and men being beheaded in the streets. We got to have more subsidies. We got to do our infrastructure plan. We got to do all this stuff. Those people are in a different country, out of sight, out of mind. And our veterans, yes, a lot of them are homeless. And yes, we spent billions and billions of dollars helping the Afghan people out instead of just, helping our own freaking people out every once in a while. There are statistics out there that say that it costs the government more money to help out homeless people than just to house them and give them food. It would cost them less because you have to deal with the police calls, you have to deal with Narcan, you have to deal with all these different subsidies, these different organizations, all this. Of course, the government is I'm spending this week thinking about every single veteran, every single person that was involved in this debacle and this obvious joke of a mission. As Biden says, we came, we conquered, we did everything we wanted to do. Really? That's what we wanted. We wanted just to fight them for 20 years, put them in the mountains, take out Osama bin Laden and some of their leaders, and then just leave and allow all those people, all those people that are in jail, all those people, those horrible people, we just allow them to come back out and escape out, and then we just leave everyone that helped us out. There's this thing from the Daily Mail being passed around. Let's see. Right here. It's got a nice breakdown. Defense officials claim that they can rescue 5,000 people a day from Kabul, but only 1,400 have been removed since the Taliban took over, and up to 40,000 remain stranded. Defense officials claim that Tuesday they'd remove between 5,000 and 9,000 people on U.S. planes, but only 1,400 have been removed. Of course. Overnight, only 700 were removed. You would think at nighttime more people would be removed, including 165 who have been waiting for a flight out. There are now grave concerns that the remaining U.S. citizens in various parts of the country will get out. We have U.S. citizens still there. Former CIA director and retired General David Petraeus called the race and evacuation a Dunkirk moment. And if anybody remembers the Dunkirk, one of my favorite war movies of all time, World War II, Dunkirk, where British men and women were stranded because they were overrun by Nazis. And who helped them? Fishermen. Because they didn't have enough boats to put people on. Former CIA director, Bush Assistant Secretary of State Robert Charles said between 15,000 and 40,000 Americans are stranded. On Tuesday, there was no sign of the U.S. planes at Kabul, which the U.S. still controls and is still being circled by the Taliban. You would think that the Americans would be the first on the list to go, but of course not. We've seen a lot of grave images coming out. But then there's other news, because don't forget, we live in a crazy world. Right now, New Zealand is going under lockdown because they found one case. One case. This is coming out of New Zealand.
Stay local and do not congregate. Don't talk to your neighbours. Please keep to your bubbles. It comes down again to those very simple principles. We know from overseas cases of the Delta variant that it can be spread by people simply walking past one another. So keep those movements outside to the bare minimum, wear a mask, and make sure you keep up that physical.
Of course, they're not wearing masks. And of course, they're standing within 2 feet of a foot and a half of each other.
Distancing.
New Zealand's on lockdown. Australia's on lockdown. Oh, I also forgot to say that, the Taliban, of course, forced everyone to give up their guns. Because why do you need guns in the security state? You're safe. Also, coming out of China, Eastern Theater commands that Tuesday dispatched warships, ASW aircraft, and fighter jets for live joint fire drills in southwestern and southeastern areas of the island Taiwan as a response to recent moves by United States and Taiwan secessionists, said its spokesperson. Of course, this is coming out of state affiliated. China's going to move on Taiwan soon. They saw how weak we were in regards to Afghanistan. That's another reason this whole Afghanistan debacle is bad, because it makes us look bad. Spent 20 years in a place, and a place was toppled within days. China's going to take Taiwan soon. And then all the semiconductors that we use will be made by China. And China is already in negotiations with the Taliban and also Russia, because they want to mine the rare earth minerals for things like green energy and batteries, semiconductors, stuff to make computers. Of course they're going to take over. Of course, it's funny. China has no problems dealing with, talking to the Taliban and being friends with them, which makes no sense to me. Does the Taliban not know about Uyghur Muslim camps? I thought you guys were all about your own people. Oh, yeah, you're not, because you're all about your affiliations more. And then New York today. The key to New York City starts today, where if you're double vaccinated, you can do all these things like movie theaters, live music, eating, arcades, coffee shops, bakeries, grocery, indoor dining, grocery stores with indoor dining, nightclubs, cabarets, cafeteria, bars, event spaces, pools, indoor studios, fitness centers, fitness classes, gyms, sports classes, casinos, adult entertainment. And this is to unlock the New York City. But as always, don't forget that only 60% of African Americans aren't vaccinated. So, this world is crazy right now, and we're just living in it. And I don't know what to think. I just know that I just also saw people talking about in France that France is on the verge of a potential civil war more than it's ever been before. I think you're seeing right now confidence in the government is gone. I have, the ones that had confidence in the government, I don't think they no longer do, because why would you? After this debacle, what's going on with the CDC, going on with COVID-19, vaccinations, forced vaccinations, key to the city. It's going on in France, Australia especially. God, that place is nuts. New Zealand soon to follow. I think you're going to see more lockdowns come. I think there's reports that America is on the potential for a new lockdown. You're seeing an aggressive totalitarianism organization, universal government like the UN. It's just, at what point do we push back as a society and say no more? I'm tired of presidents having all the power in the world to just start wars. I shouldn't be. That should never be. Should never be able to declare war alone. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the best president in the world. I don't care if you're Ron freaking DeSantis. This is a crazy week. It's only the beginning, people. Thank God Biden's on vacation. God, it's such a joke. Of course he's on vacation. These people knew. The idea that he didn't plan his vacation around this is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Same with Jen. As soon as I saw her duck, I was like, God, what a B move. Could you imagine being the intern or that assistant? I forget what's her name. She has like a French name. Jean Pecluche. Her assistant. She's probably like, I freaking hate her. I freaking hate her. Of course she's going on vacation. Of course. This has been a tiresome year, and I just want you to know you're not alone if you feel that way, because I feel that way. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Find a way to have a fantastic day. Oh, yeah. What a weird week. I read a quote from C.S. Lewis talking about the horrors of death and the atomic bomb and sickness and wars and not fearing for life and enjoying every moment you have. And because it's better to live free than live scared. And I encourage you to do the same. Be with friends, be with family, and don't live scared, because what's the point? We're all going to die anyways. We are all sentenced to death of some way, somehow. Nobody escapes death. Nobody. Not nobody. Maybe Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates. That's it, though. Have a fantastic day. As always, I'll see you on the next episode of The Derek O'Shea Show.